Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Maria from What's the Story with Maria. Welcome to our show. Tonight is episode 38 of What's the Story with Maria, and we are so glad that you've joined us. And if you're watching last week's episode, we got really crazy. So tonight I don't have crazy guests. I have just really nice people. So last week we went off the deep end and we had a lot of fun. And we some weeks are crazy and some weeks are informative, and this week it's all about musical theater. So my two friends that I have here, Dana Graber, she is a singer. I love her voice. I was telling James earlier, she's one of my favorite female vocalists in the city. I just love Dana's voice. And James Rubio is a musical theater composer, lyricist, and book writer. Is that correct, James?
Yes.
I want to make sure I get it.
More composer, lyricist, but also a book writer.
Also a book writer. So these are two people to watch and know about. And the first thing I want to do is I always like to acknowledge people that join us. Charles Caselli has joined us. Hi, Charles. Leo Rodriguez, I was talking about you earlier. Leo Rodriguez has joined us. Chris Colaccio, hello, everybody. So the first thing I want to do, and I want to get it out there, is, you know, we fall under entertainment here. So I want to let people know that are in the New York area or Jersey area, or if you're going to be in New York this week, here are two great things that you can go and do. So Tim DePasqua, who's one of my favorite songwriters, this Thursday at 7 p.m., he's at the Bitter End, which is 147 Bleecker Street. I think it's between Sullivan and maybe Lafayette, right around that area. Go and see Tim DePasqua at the Bitter End. Also, Amy London, she is with the Bartimeau Romantic. They're doing Bartimeau Romantic Songs Friday, April 6th. This is in Harlem at Minton's Playhouse, 118th and St. Nicholas. It's Italian, French, Spanish, jazz. It's jazz standards and infused with fiery Cuban rhythms. I mean, if that doesn't sound like something you want to do on a Friday night, I don't know what does. 7:30 and 9:30, 2 sets. So these are things that you want to, if you're looking for something really fun to do this week, those are two great musical things that you can do. Okay, so who else has joined us? Let me see. I got to put on my glasses. You know how I am. Gina Savino, my cousin Gina Savino. We clap when she comes on. Hi, Gina Savino. This is just a thing that's happened now. Amanda Jones, Jason Peck, Julie Angelini, Richard Kowick. Peter Aiello has joined. Peter's going to call in at 9:30 because he is falls under our food expert this week because he made some delicious pies this weekend that I bought. Okay, here we go. So Dana, you and I met downtown. We're both singers, and you work at Marie's and Marie's Crisis, which is a great club down there, and a lot of our, right, James, we were talking earlier, you've been there many times.
Yes.
And if you're in New York, you're going to go to Marie's and you're going to check it out. So people are singing live, and there's a lot of musical theater, and it's just off the cuff, crazy and wonderful and all that stuff. And that's how we met originally. And then you started teaching at the same school that I teach at.
That's right.
Right? So, okay. So Dana now, I was very excited. I wanted to have Dana on the show because Dana now is going to start teaching in New York. She was teaching in Jersey and still will be, but she's expanding and she's going to be teaching in New York. So tell us about that, Dana.
Okay, thanks. First of all, thank you for having me on the show, Maria.
Oh,
I'm
welcome.
so excited. I love you so much.
I love you too, boo-boo.
Yes, I've been teaching out in New Jersey for about 5 years. And through the teaching, I really wanted to work with adults, especially auditioning adults in New York City. The name of my new studio is Dana Graber Studio NYC. And
okay, so spell your name because your name is not spelled like I'm used to hearing Dana. So.
Right. It's spelled Dayna, and my last name is Graber, Grayber.
Okay.
And
NYC, right? So Dana Graber.
NYC.
Okay.
And it's a brand new thing, and really what I want to focus on are auditioning young actors, mainly in their 20s, who are just figuring out the business of it, and really we get caught up in New York City about the branding, the type that we should play. We go on these auditions every day, and it's grueling.
Yeah.
And part of my teaching, as well as the vocal technique that I received my master's from NYU for vocal performance, a big part of that is the heart behind it. why did we start in the first place? So a lot of my studio is very holistic thinking. It's very much meditation based, figuring out what is inside of you and what you need to say.
I'm loving this.
And
I'm loving it.
It's really what I had to go through myself.
So you we were talking earlier, and you said that these are some of the things that you learned almost the hard way, right?
Yes.
Because if you don't, and it is so important, especially when you first get to New York, it's so overwhelming. Like you get, wherever you come from, you're usually a big fish in a small pond.
Correct.
Usually the biggest fish. If you come to New York, you're a pretty big fish already, wherever you are. Then you get here and it's nothing but big fish.
Mm-hmm.
I found that. And then all of a sudden, another 100 people just got off of the train. I love that song. That song goes through my head constantly because it really captures New York to me. And so a lot of times what happens, you're right, is you get sidetracked by other things, or you get easily overwhelmed. And you have to be, so it's almost like you're preparing them, you're arming them for what's out there, but disarming them at the same time.
Yes, you have to be very honest about it. I myself was a big fish when I got here. I was booking jobs right away. And then something happened where it stopped. And I did have to go through the hard part, and then through living without theater.
Let me interrupt for a second. Darius Frowner, who's one of our teachers, has joined us. She says Dana Graber, New York City, is the best. She's a scientist with the voice, but applied with artistry. That is perfect.
Thank you, Darius.
Darius. And let me tell you, Darius does not waste words. So, Leo, Dana was a saving grace for me when I first got here. Thank you, Leo. John Pandis is Maria Filiumani, huge fish, right? So she knows. She's out in Jersey, in Morristown. We teach at the Mayo Performing Arts Center, which is no small feat. That is an amazing place to teach.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful out there. And Dana is one of my go-tos. Let me tell you something. One time I was teaching by myself because Darius was on vacation or something, and I had this advanced class, and these girls were so talented. And we got to a part of the song that I literally knew that I was limited in, and I could not help them. And it was as if God looked down upon me and said, I know what you need. And Dana just happened to walk by at that moment. And I was like, Dana, come here, and pulled her in. And she taught the next section of the class and helped these girls that were hitting these really hard notes to hit. And I actually took the class that day. I said, I'm going to step back as a teacher and take this class, because Dana really is like a master at the voice. So I learned a lot from you that day. And the techniques that you taught that I learned from you that day, I'm still using for my own voice. It's
really amazing for me. I am kind of obsessed with the human voice. I would, even after I graduated from NYU, I would sit down at my computer every day on GarageBand, sing something, hear what it sounded like, try something different. And I would just do that every day.
Really?
Until I figured out what was going on inside of me, to the point now where I can hear what's going on inside of you.
Well, you know what? That's interesting that you said that, because when you record, because I've recorded for my 2 CDs, it's always someone that I work with that, well, I'll go in and do the vocal track, and and then I'll listen back just like you did. And usually the person will say the right thing to me, like, that's not you. Just, and it's something like that. It's like, just do your thing. Just go in there and then it's captured, because recording captures the nuances and it captures what's inside you as well.
And it's one of the hardest things for my students to do. And
a lot of your students are young, right?
Right. Well, even adults. One of the hardest thing for singers or people is to hear your own voice. But it's so necessary just to know if you like what you're doing. Right. You can't listen to yourself.
It's funny that you say that, because as a teacher, my mission is exactly that, to get them to like the sound of their own voice. It's not about being the highest, the strong. It's about hearing your own sound and saying, you know what? That's me. I can hear myself. And I understand that. And you can always get better. You can always get better.
And you know what, Maria? It's so hard to find your voice. It really is, because I learned how to sing. I always tell people, from Disney princesses. So thank you.
Well, why not? Why not? Thank you, Disney princesses.
Thank you.
Let's, for a minute, Lynn Portis has checked in. She is my musical director for 25 years. Genius. She was the one who told me I was a songwriter, actually. Okay. And if she hadn't said that, I wouldn't have continued with that. So Dominic Pupa has checked in. Terry Leibowitz Ross has checked in. Okay, I'm going to switch over. We're going to slide over to James. We're going to go back and forth. So James, this is perfect. I kind of did this on purpose, had you both on together. Sometimes it's very like last minute thing, but I really wanted to have both of you on. First of all, as I said ahead of time, you're both very sweet, soft-spoken people, and you have a lot to offer. And I wanted to, and also that musical theater connection. And then when we were talking ahead of time, we realized you both went to NYU.
Yes.
So, which I didn't know. So, James, you were in the writers program, right?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I moved to New York in 2000.
From where?
From Virginia.
Oh, okay, cool.
I went to Virginia Commonwealth University. I got a music degree there, classical composition. And I don't know, I kind of had before going into music, I had been in pre-med, and then I was in med school.
Okay, let me just stop you right there.
Out.
How many people do you know that are in musical composition and pre-med? I mean, this is a smart guy, okay?
Yeah, that being said,
but it's a big deal.
Sciences and music, there's a correlation between the two. But when I decided to shift gears and go into music, I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to.
Did you always play an instrument?
I played piano since I was 8.
Okay.
And I wrote songs since I wrote classical music since I was 11. It was a school project.
Unbelievable.
And I just thought, why not?
What were you doing at 11? I mean, I know what I was doing. I was getting in trouble. So that's wonderful.
But it was never something I thought I would do professionally or pursue more than as a hobby. So after I got my classical degree, I thought I would probably go into academics and teach. However, my professor in Virginia told me about this program at NYU. It's a graduate musical theater writing program where they paired together composers and lyricists and book writers.
Wow.
This was
and
back
it
in
must have
2000.
been a teacher that you respected because.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, he was a Juilliard trained young professor, and it opened my eyes to what was possible beyond the academic world. So I moved here in 2000. Went to NYU for a couple of years, got my MFA there, and now, I'm a composer, lyricist. Book writing is new to me, but it's something that I find fascinating. And with my latest project, I've been wearing all 3 hats, which is both scary, it's exciting and scary at the same time.
Well, the thing I think. You're always going to be new at something.
Mm-hmm.
If you are an artist, that's what this whole show is based upon, being creative. If you're an artist, you're going to get to a point where you want to learn more about something.
Yes.
And you're going to want to expand. So that means you're going to be new at something all the time. And you're going to have, it happens to me all the time, and I have to be vulnerable at whatever I'm learning, or a new avenue that I've gone down that I don't know anything about, but you have to let yourself be new at it. And that's how you learn. And then sometimes you just are really good at something you didn't know you were good at.
Yeah, in terms of writing a book for my last musical, which is called Grotesquerie Lake, and had a workshop in Virginia Beach.
Spell that for the radio listeners.
Grotesquerie. Second word is lake. It's a musical set in the 70s, coming of age story about an aspiring magician and a fairground he encounters, and roughly based on Swan Lake.
Wow.
And so it has fantastical kind of like Ray Bradbury meets David Lynch.
Oh, I love it. And that's a Grotesquerie Lake. That's where that would come.
Aspect.
Okay.
And fingers crossed, having another workshop next 2019 summer or fall with a bigger cast and
where will that be?
That would still be in Virginia Beach. It's the Ziders Theater in Virginia Beach. They're building their new home as we speak, so hopefully everything comes together for that. But in writing the book for the musical, again, I had a handful of songs I had written, for characters I had in mind, but I didn't have a book writer. I didn't have a book in place.
Right.
And so I just finally decided. These songs had been sitting on the shelf for years. And
that happens sometimes, but you see, and then when it's what made it the right time? What made this the right time? Did something happen in your life? Was it?
No, I would say that. Good question.
Because I know I have stuff that sits on the shelf, or we used to call them trunk songs. Just. They're in the trunk, and then all of a sudden you're like, now's the time. I just last year wrote a song with Will T. and Hall that we wanted to write a song forever, and we just weren't.
Jamie Allen.
Oh, where's Jamie Allen, our mutual friend? He's fantastic. We love him. So let's, Peggy Bauman has joined. Krista Piero has joined. Tom Greenleaf has joined. And Jamie Allen, who we love. He worked with us. You would love Jamie as well, Dana. So what we were talking about with James is, how do you know when it's the right time to take those songs off the shelf, take that dust off that journal, dust off whatever it is you're working on? I guess it just speaks to you, right?
Well, I think it was something as simple as I was going through my musical files, not Finale, but Sibelius music notation program. I think I was looking through old files, and in my Grotesquerie Lake file, which I realized was about 6 years old, I realized I had about 7 or 8 songs there.
Wow.
with not fully developed characters, but characters that I knew the arc I wanted them to take, or I knew their personalities, but that had been sitting in my computer for 7 years. And I realized that
time flies in the city.
Oh my gosh,
mean, that's happened to me. I have songs that I have about 8 songs written and just waiting to be recorded, just random, but like when I made my first CD in 1998, I had just a whole collection of them because I had written them for shows, a lot of them with Lynn Portis. And then my second one, it's just like, it happened, in 2003. Then I was just writing, and then I just kind of slowed down. And then you kind of write something and it's there, and then you write something else and it's there. And I wrote a bunch, but I just never recorded them. So that happens a lot. Or you get super busy with other things, So Dana, go ahead. You want to? I can feel that.
Because I'm not a writer. I've never been a writer, but this really calls to me personally because when you reach that point in your life, whether for me it was a loved one passing on, or if you have a really great experience, something happens where you have something you have to say.
Right.
And I don't write, but that I apply that to performing.
Right.
Anything can be turned into what you need to say.
Absolutely.
For James, maybe he found these songs and he wrote them before his prime, and then he found them and it became something even more enlightened because of what he went through in his life.
Right.
You have to live.
Absolutely. And what happens lots of times is exactly that. It's like with an artist. Next week we have Richard Kowick. He's a photographer, and his book just came out, and just beautiful stuff. And I'm interested to hear next week as well. I think people are visual artists. Same thing. You're bursting. The thing with like if I write a song, I don't know if this is the same for you, James, or Dana, what you were talking about. It's almost like it's bursting out of my chest. Like I can't contain it anymore. And then it has to just be expressed. Like you said, a show or piece of art. I have a lot of friends that are, even friends that are jewelry makers, and they make this exquisite stuff, and they'll make like a ton of it in a row. And then they just don't for a while. It's just the creative flow is very interesting how that happens,
I think it's a process between knowing what your words and thoughts are worth and having
so interesting, Dana.
And having the courage to put it out there and say them.
Yeah.
For me, I'm a plus size woman, and
me too.
High five. And I realized the power that I could have for myself and for other plus size women and men out there if I were to own myself and not apologize. And
absolutely. And you know what? I'll tell you what is the most, to me, appealing thing of all in a person, a performer, anything. Number one, confidence. It is not because so many people look a certain way, what we think we should look like or whatever. Like I did this in my 20s a lot, 20s and 30s. I fell under that, I should look this way or that way, which is great. But as I got older, I developed confidence because I would watch other people and think, what's appealing about that person? And it was their confidence, sense of humor, confidence, knowing who you are and being okay with whoever you are. That is the best thing in the world. So Jenny Buckel has joined us as well. She's works at the school we work at. She's an amazing teacher out there. So, all right. So James, so where are you at in the process now?
So in terms of Grotesquerie Lake, again, it's been a couple months since the workshop, and I'm basically in revision point at this hour.
Okay.
Mainly revising a good deal of the book.
Is that fun for you, or is that the boring part?
No, it's not fun. It's challenging, but
in what way? In what way is it challenging?
It's challenging in that it's basically trying to artfully answer questions which the audience might have, or making the characters' motivation seem more organic rather than just.
Now, let me ask you something. Are you ever in the middle of it and say, "I have to step away from this because I can't do it right now"?
Well, at this point, I don't have. Well, maybe for a couple of days, but at this point, I'm not trying to give myself the luxury of too many days off.
Okay.
I do have enough.
Do you actually schedule when you work?
I don't. I really should.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, you know what? The best gun to my head is a deadline. As long as I have a deadline, even if it's, if I needed to write 6 new songs by May 1st, they would.
Deadlines are great. You like deadlines, Dana?
Oh, I love deadlines.
Me too.
I need the deadlines. If I don't have a deadline and we say, oh, maybe next spring, write a few songs, I may not start those songs till November.
Yep. Absolutely, I agree.
But,
so a lot of people have been typing in. Lynn said, "Great show, guys, loving this," because Lynn is a writer. She's written many musicals, and now what Lynn has done in the last few years is she's created a musical text. It's called eMusi, EMUSI, and they're little musical clips that you can send about any subject. They're all from like happy birthday to you just had a baby to really silly stuff. And I was sitting with Lynn one day at a diner, and she was that whole bursting thing. Like, I'm doing this. I don't know what this is yet. I don't know what it is yet, but I can't stop writing. And I remember that day and thinking, wow, she really is like in the zone of writing. Sometimes I feel like, and I learned a lot by watching Lynn that day, that you shouldn't question what you're doing. Just do it and then worry about what you're doing. Whatever it is. Like, Dana, what made you decide, because you're a great teacher out there, but what made you decide to bring it into the city and offer it to adults as well? And boy, do we need it.
Well, after working with children and seeing the impact it had, especially on children with anxiety, the breathing just alone was so
Also,
relaxing.
I need to interrupt you because Dana is so incredible as teachers. We talk, of course, teachers talk. And Dana will give me like a heads up on how to approach something in a student that I didn't even realize, or see something in a student that I didn't, I wouldn't have tried with that student. But Dana's been working with them, so she knows their path. And and a lot of you've done so much amazing work with exactly that, bringing their anxiety level down, which is huge, safe, especially girls.
Oh, yes.
There's all this. I find the boys that we have they're so cute and they're so confident. It's boys just have that sometimes when they're young. I think as they get older, they start to question themselves. But young boys have a lot of swagger that little girls may have in the beginning, but then they start to question themselves. Those that they second guess or.
Well, the thing is that little children grow up to be big children.
Mm-hmm.
And from working at Maria's Crisis, I've met a lot of new friends and a lot of people and a lot of young actors who are auditioning who have those same questions and anxieties.
Right.
And I see a lot of myself when I was their age in them, and I just know I can help them.
Yeah.
So I wanted to open up the studio that focused more on the heart and finding your reason for doing this again, other than booking a gig. I mean, if that's the only reason you have, how strong is that really going to be?
That is
and how happy are you going to be?
Point. That's such an incredible point. So, I have this friend that always says, it's about the work, Maria. It's about the work. And when I first came to the city, I didn't know what she was talking about. I was like, what is she talking about? It was, especially with auditions, it's like you want to get in there. You want to do the best. You get in there. You're so stressed out. You want to do the best quick, and then you want to get the hell out of there. And then, of course, you just want the job. And if you don't get it, it's like, and I heard that the ratio is 40-1. So you have to audition 40 times before you book something.
That's right.
Now you may get 3 things in a row and then you won't get anything for a long time. I mean, it happens. Some people book constantly and then there's a lull. So, But don't be discouraged. And like Dana said, it's not just about booking things. It's about, I don't want to take the word.
No, it's
what are
not
your
about.
words about
Well, it's exactly what you just said. You hear all these phrases. Oh, it's they want you to succeed, or it's all a numbers game. We all hear the same thing over and over again. But the question is, how do you beat that?
Right.
And I love solving puzzles, and I love
Do
getting.
you? Is that something?
Do.
Yeah, oh, great.
I love behavior, and every person has their own language, and together I love finding the way each specific person gets to understand what those phrases really mean.
Right.
So they want you to succeed. Okay. How about you walk into the room and you don't care if you book the gig, but you want to share your message to those people behind the table.
They're going to
walk out.
They're going to love it even more.
Yeah.
Because I once twice I've had to do casting for shows. I helped out with casting. And I can't tell you it's a very stressful thing to do the casting. I didn't realize it, but I learned a lot. That what's so appealing is when people come in and they are so authentic, or they are comfortable with themselves. There was a show that I was casting for that we created a role for this gentleman that didn't exist because he was so lovable. And we were like, when he left, we were like, what are we going to do with this guy? We can't let him go. And everything else is cast. So, there's a lot to be said for that. I'm going to take a moment because one of our students' parents that we love, Kristen Becht, has checked in, and her 3 amazing, talented, beautiful kids have been through Mayo, and we still have Thomas. And they're all 3 of them work all the time. They're constantly working. They're so talented.
So proud of them.
Millie Aguilar has joined us. Let me see. Leo Rodriguez says, so James Rubio, do you feel you need to hear the character and how frustrating it is for you?
Do I?
How frustrating is it for you?
That's musically, or how are you?
You mean to understand that? So let's take that question and use it as a launch.
Okay.
So when you write for different characters, of course you're the composer and lyricist. You have to put yourself in the place of that character when you write? Or do you just...
Well, first of all, this story and the situations are roughly mapped out. And as a composer lyricist, I guess this is the ideal, and you don't always see this, but I do try to give each character a specific lyrical and musical voice. That's like very artistic, but not.
No, but that's what we are, artists.
Stephen Sondheim school of writing for characters.
Who doesn't love Sondheim?
Yes, but at the same time, I try not to write songs where any song could be sung by any character. I try to make it musically and lyrically specific.
But specific, that's okay.
Once we had both a table read and a preliminary workshop, I can't help but have the initial actors I had portray those characters in my mind with future rewrites. So that changes things slightly, changes things in a good way, whether I decide to roll with choices they made or deviate from choices they made, having actual...
So the actual actors that were in your workshop may do something that will...
Definitely.
That will inspire you to write something different.
Yes.
That's really great to know.
One of the characters specifically, I changed her whole persona based on how she was cast, which is different from what I anticipated on the page.
Isn't that interesting? Which, goes back to what Dana was saying, I think, about just bringing that message across, right, Dana?
Oh, and yes, composers and lyricists, James, you are my gods, because my dream is to do a new show collaborating with people just like you. Yes. And when you give those characters voice, you in turn give other people, millions, thousands of people a voice that they can connect to this character. So yes, you have that message.
You see all the hearts coming through. People are loving what you guys are saying. So Jeffrey Campbell has joined us. Jeffrey comes in every week. He's so wonderful. Hi, Jeffrey. We have Veronica has joined us. Hi, Veronica. So we have James Rubio. Let me just, if you just joined us, James Rubio has joined us. He's a composer, lyricist, and book writer. And we have Dana Graber has joined us. She is a vocalist, amazing vocalist. I love her voice. And she is a teacher. And now she teaches voice out at Mayo Performing Arts Center in Morristown, where I teach as well. But now she is moving her studio into the city as well, in addition to what she does. So we're not losing her at Mayo, thank goodness.
No.
She's just adding it. So I cannot recommend her enough as a voice teacher. If you are looking for a voice teacher, whether you have kids or whether you're an adult, it doesn't matter how old you are and you want to strengthen your instrument. Dana, spell your name again so they can find you.
Dayna, and my last name is Grayber, Grayber, and I'm just on Facebook. Just message me, friend me, and that's the best way to contact me.
Yep. And James, let's put up that. Let's show. And then I'm going to have my friend Peter Iannello is going to call in. We're going to do our food section.
If you need to
reach James, go ahead. You spell it, James, for the radio.
JBRUBIO.com, jbrubio.com. And there you can see info on projects I'm working on, projects I have worked on, as well as a way to contact me. There's a leave a message, one of those, if you go on jbrubio.com, you can, contact me and email me and all that good stuff, and hear clips of what I do.
Wonderful.
With some great singers, including Veronica Middensvai is out there, and she's I think she might be on one of those clips. Fantastic.
So we have a lot of great singers in our community. The longer you stay in the city and the more friends you meet, the more great singers you're going to hear, or artists, or it's just this, people say to me all the time, how do you know so many cool people? Because I've been here for 28 years or 29 years. It's like, and if you keep working in the business, even working in restaurants, which lots of us, that's how we meet, because, people in this business, that's what we do. So we can go on auditions during the day. We work nights. Things like that. So you meet a lot of cool people. So Peter, I know you're out there listening. Call in whenever you can, Peter. You have my cell phone number, and we want to talk about the food section of the show, which is called Go Ahead, Keep Eating. That's the food section of our show, because Peter made these amazing. Maybe I'll call Peter. I don't know if he's still. Maybe he may have lost my number, but I'll give me 5 more minutes. Peter, call in soon. Okay, so Dana, you were born. Oh, here he is. Okay, so now I'm going to keep him on speakerphone. Hang in. This is always a little complicated. Okay. Peter?
Yeah.
Oh, yay, there he is. Hi, Peter. So this is Peter Iannello, and he is my friend. He is a great supporter of music and comes down to the clubs all the time. And that's how I met Peter, through one of our mutual friends, Jerry Diefenbach, who's an amazing piano player and musical director. And Peter is a doctor. Is that right, Peter?
Doctor of Education. That's correct.
Doctor of Education. Okay. Now, maybe last week, Peter posted this thing on Facebook that said, if anybody wants pies, pizza quienas or pizza rusticas, which are these Italian Easter pies that are savory, just let me know how many you need. I'll deliver them. And I was like, what? What do you mean now he's a baker too? Like, what the heck's going on? So, Peter, first of all, just stay there. Don't go anywhere, because I want to display. I bought 3 of your pies, and one of them I cooked and had some, and then I saved the other 2. I froze them, and now I cooked them. So this is, they're delicious. We're going to eat this after the show. So I'm displaying the pizza. Is it, would you call it pizza canna too?
Pizza rustica.
Rustica. Okay, some people call it pizza canna, some people call it pizza rustica. Rustica meaning rustic. So I'm showing this now. So Peter, tell us about what you made.
So this is a traditional Italian meat and cheese pie. And
okay.
It contains 5 different Italian cold cuts and 4 different cheeses.
Wow. Can you tell us what they are? Or is it a secret?
Sure. No, I can tell you. I can't say how much. So
no.
Pie, but I can tell you what's in them.
Okay.
So it's prosciutto, salami, capicola, sausage,
delicious
for the meat.
Oh my God.
And then for the cheeses, it's mozzarella, ricotta, parmesan, and provolone.
I'm losing my mind.
Asiago.
Asiago, I love.
Like Asiago, it's a little less salty, and sometimes I use that instead, depending on the cheese. And then dozens and dozens and dozens of eggs.
Yes. Now, Peter, was this something that you, as a kid, that your family made, and you just, or?
So it's interesting. I remember them as a kid. My grandmothers on both sides used to make them.
Yeah.
But then I really didn't get into it until my partner's mother always made it at Easter time. And then she passed away about 15 years ago. and no one was actually picking it up. And then one year, about probably 5-6 years ago, I said, you know what, I'm going to attempt at making this. And it came out really, really great, and I loved it, and everybody loved it. And I made probably about 6 or 7 and gave them to the family. And then that year, when I gave a few out, somebody said to me, well, you know, you really should think about putting them out at Easter time because nobody really wants to do this and make it.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It's so much work. I know, but thank God that people like you are doing this, because one of the things that makes me so sad as an Italian, but I'm sure every culture has this, where you grow up with these recipes that you know, your grandparents made or your mom, and then they just start to die down because no one continues the tradition. And, you know, when people were coming over from Italy, they all did this stuff. But as we generations stay here and don't go back to Italy, we sometimes forget these things. Like I do the Christmas Eve dinner for my family now because I don't want that to die. So I personally want to thank you for doing this. And he delivers. I mean, is that crazy? And the pies are super, super reasonable. So pizza rustica, we're going to have that tonight for dinner and with some delicious salad. Dana and James and I are going to enjoy your delicious pizzas. Peter, thank you for calling in. I can't thank you enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and everything.
You too.
Can I do a quick shout out?
Anything you want. Go ahead.
So I have a few friends. I have my friend Carolyn Farrar, who is actually in Ireland right now. That's where she lives, and she's actually joined in and wanted to do a shout out to her and to my friend Eileen, who's my oldest friend from grammar school, and Joanne from my office, and then Joe Gullah, who you know.
Yes.
I believe you know, and who's one of my friends.
Joe's great.
Well, so I want to just say thanks to everybody for joining. But I love you, Maria. You know that.
I
right?
love you too, sweetheart. You're just a wonderful person. And he's also, are you a Gemini by any chance?
No, my partner is Gemini. I'm a Capricorn.
Oh, okay. Dana's
I'm a Capricorn.
You know why I asked? Because you can do a lot of things. You're also an amazing singer. He really
Thank
is.
you very much.
He comes into the club and he'll just get up and sing, and you're like, what? And so it's Peter. Thank you for being all the things you are. I just adore you.
Oh, thank you, Maria. It's a pleasure. You know what I have to tell you? I'm prepping up a new show.
Oh yeah.
Yep, hopefully up in September, October. I've been working with Jerry for a couple of weeks, so I'm excited about that.
All right, so Pete, why don't we do this? Why don't right before the show you come on my show, and then you can plug your show, and we'll do all that, and I'll cook for you. Okay?
I would love that.
All right, Peter. I love you, honey. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you, sweetheart.
And we'll talk soon.
Dana and Mr. Rubio over here are great. I love them.
Aren't they wonderful?
So
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Peter.
We're
Thanks,
excited to eat your food.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna eat it right after the show.
All right.
All right. Bye, sweetie.
Bye-bye.
Oh, he's such a great guy. Okay, that works. Sometimes it doesn't work. And I get so stressed out. I'm like, oh, last week Anthony Fett called in. We love Anthony Fett. But we did hear him on the radio, though. When I listened to the podcast, I could hear him. So now Rena Berge has joined us. Andre Rodriguez has joined us. Let me see. Richard Kowick. I can't wait next week. Oh, great. So here's what.
Oh, thank you, Leo.
Yes, I told you this is what Leo does. Leo is an amazing friend. And we joke now and call him our intern because he will find things and pop them up. So this is James Rubio, musical theater composer, lyricist. It is right there, jbrubio.com.
Thank you. A million thanks.
Leo is just like really cool. He's a really cool guy and just a lovely person. And he actually had a show, musical in the Fringe Festival a few years ago called Broken Moments. So Leo knows this game, trust me. Lynn Portis, Dana, what a sweetheart.
Thank you,
yes,
Lynn.
they're lovely. Judy Dom has joined us. Hi, Judy. Hola. I need some pizza right now. Honey, come on over. Where are you? Come over and eat with us. And, okay, someone else, so many people have been popping in. I want to say hi. Joe Julia, hi, sweetheart. We're going to have you on the show as well. Oh, my God, so many great people. Rachel Gaviletz.
Rachel Gaviletz.
You know Rachel?
Yes, she recorded with me. She's on the recording of Grotesque Relay.
I can't believe it.
Yes.
You know Rachel. She sings downtown.
You know Rachel?
You would know her to me.
I probably know her by her face.
Yeah, she has really
Hi,
cool hair.
Rachel.
She's like her shaved on the sides and really like cool blonde hair, and her voice is off the charts.
And she also just came out with an EP.
Yes.
Living Room, she's phenomenal. Rachel Gaviletz.
Yes, Rachel. We had her on the show. She was on the show with Barry Dubois.
She's fantastic voice.
Ellen McGovern. Raymond has joined. He's He's a great cook. Yes, we're talking about Peter Ryan and all. He's so many great things. Okay, so we have do I still have your credit card in my pocket? He is so funny, John. I mean, Joe is so funny because, you know, I'm a bartender, so we take credit, you know, it's like, you want to start a tab, give me a credit card. Lots of times we have them in our pockets. That's really funny, actually, Joe. Okay, so we have about 15 minutes left to our show. So what do you, all the stuff that you want to definitely squeeze into this hour. This is information that you want to get out. Dana, what's something that you want to get that you're like, I just want people to know this?
Well, I would like them to know that if you are a person who wants to sing, but something's holding you back, try to fight that and message me. You can message me on Facebook. My name is Dana, Dayna, Grayber, Grayber. Just message me on Facebook. And the reason why I say that is because anybody can be a singer. If you love to sing, that's all you need. But what they say about practice, you need to practice.
Mm-hmm.
Practice is not perfect and does not make perfect. It makes permanent. And
I love that.
And yeah,
I love that. And you know
permanent.
what else? I have to say this because I'm not a spring chicken, but I am a singer and I love to sing. I loved it since I was a little kid. And I always was surrounded around myself with people that believed in me and always said I could sing. So that makes a big difference.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that I learned a certain amount of things and then I just stopped learning. I still am learning constantly. I have to learn so I can teach. I have to learn so I can sing, so I can do greater things with my voice. But what Dana is talking about coming from your most authentic place, that's going to come from you. And someone like Dana is going to help you open that door because that is a door. I feel like that's a door that.
You're exactly right, Maria.
Am I right?
I
feel that.
I always say my second gift is people, literally strangers, will just open up to me. I don't know if it's the dimples. I don't know what it is.
We're both Geminis, Dana. That's what it is.
And so is James, by the way.
You're a Gemini?
I'm a Gemini, and people don't imagine that I am, but yeah.
Well, male Geminis are more. Lynn will tell us this because Lynn is a horoscope. Lynn, what's happening right now? 3 Geminis. What do you think? It doesn't feel like a typical, because usually Geminis are kooky like me, but you guys are calm Geminis. Oh my God. So 3 Geminis, we're communicators.
Yes.
That's for sure. We're usually are in this business or some kind of business of show, usually on the front part of it, not so much behind the scenes. So we're all in the right business. And, that's how I think of it, Dana. Like for me, it has been a door. And you know what's so funny? When I first moved to the city, I really fought, like I fell into that, like, I don't want to be typecast. I don't want to be, and it's so funny. I kept getting, roles, of course, for Italian girls who are like loud, and I fought it, which was ridiculous. But I was in my 20s and I wanted to be different things than who I was. And as I got to like myself in life, I got to realize that I had something.
Of course, you definitely have something. And I think it's important.
But to use it, what you have, right?
Well, yes, it is important to understand that will happen. It will happen. But you have to decide what you're going to use that for. That's your power. You are a vessel for
Dana,
the message.
We're on the same page. I say this all the time.
So don't feel bad about whatever your vessel is. You have to own it.
I have to interrupt because this is giving me chills. This is what I do before I perform. No matter what it is, whether it's this, whether I speak in front of a crowd, whether I go into an audition, whether I'm recording. This is my prayer. I say, and it doesn't have to be God, whatever you believe in, but I say, God, make me a vessel of your message and not my ego.
Are you kidding me?
It's exactly what I say.
I'm
Because
like glad by that.
That's exactly what I do. I pray. And I just say, make me a vessel of your message, not my ego. And I let it just come through. Whatever is supposed to come through will come through.
Amen.
If I am open. And I believe that that's important. Now, James, I think what you do, do you find that you spend a lot of time alone doing what you do? Because as a writer, I think
I've always been rather solitary anyways. I enjoy doing things.
Are you an
by
only
myself.
child?
No, I have an older sister.
Okay.
But in school, out of school, I tend to like doing things by myself, and I don't get lonely by being alone. Rather, I enjoy my own company.
Mhm.
And when I'm with my friends, I enjoy my small group of friends, but I'm equally happy by myself. Oftentimes, especially if I'm in the middle of not so much music, but for me, it's lyrics. If you're trying to get a certain turn of phrase just right, I do feel like I'm so focused on one little phrase that if I'm in company, I'm not in the same room as you. I'm in my own head.
I can't believe this.
Kind of seem like
Judy,
a
are you
crazy
listening
person.
to this? We were talking about this the other day because I do this constantly. People think I'm not paying attention.
Yeah.
And what's happening is sometimes I'll think of something like you just said, like,
Yes.
oh, that's a line from, or I should do that on my show. Or should I call that person? Or
And I'm often thinking about it while I'm in the company of others.
yes,
Most
we're not
of my
being
friends
rude. We're
are-
just, our brain
yes,
never
I'm
stops
just
working.
in my own mind.
Yes.
People do call me out on it when they say, "You've not been listening to what I said," or I'll nod my head.
Right. And
pretending
it's
like I'm
not
listening.
being rude.
Yes, exactly.
Dana, do you do that at all? Or?
Oh yes, they
Yeah.
call it. My family calls it a TV zone or TV mode because it's like when I'm watching something and I don't hear anything.
Look
going
at
on
Judy.
around
She's
me.
being sarcastic. Wait, communicators?
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
I'm telling you, so many times Judy would be like, where are you? Like, I'm just
Mhm.
somewhere else, you know? But it's so funny. I have really just, I hate to use the word embrace because it's overused, but I really have just like let go now and said, this is who I am.
But then you turn around and you can explain that same exact thing to someone else because you've thought about it so hard in your own mind.
I did want to say, slight change of subject. Just I was thinking while I had a moment to say something. Did want to address writer's block. I think if that's the word.
Yeah.
Just because
I don't believe in writer's block.
just because
I believe in-
really.
We take
Yeah.
side, we need to rest.
Yes. Or if I've realized the time that I thought I was not doing anything, I was absorbing, either I'm reading or
Experiences.
even walking down the street and looking around at things you don't normally notice, or
Which reminds me, James, before we forget, I want to talk about your trip. You took a trip by
yes, I just took a
yourself.
solo trip to Paris, which everyone has to do one day.
But that must have been so inspirational.
Oh my gosh,
And-
it's the third solo trip I've taken in almost 15 years, but I haven't taken one in over 10 years. And again, not that I'm artistically starved right now, but moments like that really build you as an artist and as a human, builds you as a human, which builds you as an artist. And again, I had 6 days in Paris, 1 day in London,
wow.
literally with no real itinerary, just going to museums, going to the park,
Oh, it sounds like
eating.
I love
whatever
going to
you want.
museums. Yep.
And the nice thing about traveling by myself, if I was bored by a museum, I would leave, go take a nap, go get a drink, go get a coffee. It's whatever you want. But my mind was so open and so out of my regular routine of thinking
Yep.
that I definitely have brought that back. It's been 3 weeks since I've been back, but brought that back to New York. Suddenly, I can't read enough. I've gone to more museums in the past 3 weeks in New York.
Yep.
than
That's
I
what
have
happens.
in
It
the
just
past
starts
5
this
years.
thing going. So
Yeah.
sometimes, so this is really important stuff. There's a lot of people that listen to the show and watch the show that are artists. Of course, I would say not all of you, because some people are just in different businesses and don't care to be in that. But if it's anything creative that you're doing, like I said, I don't believe in writer's block. Like what I believe is that you need sometimes repose. It's just like there's ebb and flow in the ocean. There's ebb and flow, and my old therapist used to say you expand and you contract. And as artists and as Geminis, we're constantly expand, communicate. And sometimes not you have to, it's survival to come back in. A lot of people that know me on the outside say, oh, you must be like so much fun at home. And then people that have lived with me say, what are you talking about? She's a pain in the, you know what? And sometimes I'm very quiet, or like some of my roommates have been like, you're actually kind of like, almost like standoffish at home. And what's happening is that I put so much out there in my work that when I go home, sometimes I literally shut down. Do you find that? I
I live by myself, so I don't have that But I know.
Do you like living by yourself?
I love living
Yeah.
I love living by myself.
And Dana, do you do that as well? Do you find that when you're home, you're quiet?
Well, when I'm home, I am quiet, except for when I'm with Jamie. Hi, Jamie.
We love Jamie, by the way. Her boyfriend is an amazing singer, and I just love him to death.
And one of my teachers at NYU always told me, and this will apply to you too, when you really put yourself in the work and you connect, you should feel like you ran a race right after.
Wow.
So
wow.
you're shaking.
I love that.
And so when you're not nervous beforehand, but then you feel nervous after, it's usually a good thing.
Oh, I love that.
Because
No,
I have no idea why.
Also, so Joe Dallo says 3 Geminis. Isn't that technically 6 people? Yes, thank you very much. But 6 very well-behaved people. I am writing a show now, and you guys are going to inspire me. Is there anything you could do to help your writing process when you need a boost while in the midst of writing a song or a show? I think we just answered that. I think that might have been. So I hope we answered. Go ahead, James.
Yes, and also when it is, I hate to say, like deadline inspired, and you know you need a song by. I will sometimes, just as a guide for myself, say you have like one verse or part of a chorus. I'll do a couple of dummy verses and choruses, and just
You just use the exact
cut and paste
Yes.
measures of music. So you see, oh my gosh, it's going to be,
It's going to have a life.
it's 95 measures. It's not as daunting as it seems, rather than just kind of existing in space.
Right.
If there's some sort of hard, for me at least, if there's some sort of dummy lyrics, or some
same
sort of
thing with
dummy,
I call them dummy lyrics too.
Yeah.
It's like you just start writing.
just anything.
Just start writing. And sometimes I'll literally will write like a few lines and then I'll change them. I can change them 6 times. It doesn't matter. Or one of the things that I like to do as a writer is just start writing and then walk away from it. Go to the store, go take a train ride, whatever, come back, take a shower, whatever it is. When I write the best? When I'm in the car. So how do I do that? Sometimes I think of things and I literally I used to carry a little tape recorder with me back in the day when we had those tape recorders. Now most of the stuff is on your phone, but I still have a tape recorder. Even if I write monologues, that I will just click and just drive and talk. And it's just for my ears. It's not, don't judge yourself. Go ahead.
Oh, you just made me think of
Say.
something. I have 2 things to say. No, we're going to wrap it up quick. First thing is, I realize I've been focusing. I'm a voice teacher. I've been focusing a lot on the acting. I always say singing is 50% mental. So a lot of the stepping up and becoming a great singer is knowing you can and knowing what's staying in your way mentally. I also know the technique. So I just want to say that because I haven't talked about that. But about what you just said, what did you just say?
About recording yourself and just like letting it be. And just, when you do a mundane task, the other side of your brain is activated. So washing dishes, driving, things like that, you're going to activate that, or walking away from something, knowing when to walk away. But I want to get back to technique because you taught me a few things. And Dana, I bet I'm not twice your age, but I got some time on you, like maybe 20 years on you. And I learned from you, and I learned from you things that I use now as a singer. So that's another thing I want to say to people that are older, because sometimes what happens as you get older is you feel like you should know everything. And you people say, oh, he's stuck on his ways. What it really is we're stuck in fear. We're stuck in fear that we should know everything. So what I've been doing lately is, because I am older than most people I work with now. And rather than be resentful that I'm not their age or feel like, oh, it's time for me to just quit, I don't want to quit. I'm not going anywhere. So get used to it. But I am learning from people that are younger. I'm staying open to saying, teach me. I want to learn. So if you remain teachable, how can you go wrong?
That's what you have to do. You have to remember to be open and to know the end goal. And sometimes people are going to say things just in that right way that you never thought of before. And doesn't mean you had never done it before, but maybe you just need that little extra encouragement that this is the right direction.
Right. And we're getting close to the end of our show. I know Jim's going to pop on in a minute. I also want to say sometimes the worst thing that could happen to you ends up being the best thing that could happen to you. And I know that firsthand. Sometimes what happens is you just are crushed by something. You don't get something, or, someone that you want to appreciate what you do doesn't. let it wash over you. Feel the hurt, feel the disappointment, all that, but let it fuel you, even if it's revenge sometimes. Like sometimes with me, it's been like, I'm going to prove to people that I am not done. And, you keep going, the wheels keep turning, and hanging around like people like Lynn Portis has taught me a lot, because Lynn is constantly doing something new, and it encouraged me to do something new. So let's just, how can they reach you one more time, James Rubio?
jbrubio.com.
Jimmy, how much time we got? It's okay.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Go ahead, James. How can they find you?
Okay, jbrubio.com, jbrubio.com, and listen to my music and comment on stuff you like, comment on stuff you don't like. I have thick skin, so I would love to hear from you.
Wonderful. And Dana, tell them again how they can find you.
Facebook message me, DAYNAGRAYBER, and just tell me who you are, and we'll talk, meet for a coffee, let me know what you want to accomplish, and I guarantee you I will find a way for you to do it.
Okay, wonderful. Please, thank you so much for coming to our show. Thank you, Peter Ainano, for the delicious pies. Love you guys, and come back next week, 9 p.m. Tuesdays, right here on Facebook Live, armeddigitalmedia.com. Thank you.
User left your channel.
Okay, hold on.
Bye,
sweetheart. Thank you.
I gotta go.
All right, go, Jimmy, go. Okay, hold on one second.
User left your channel.
Sometimes this thing sticks. Hi, guys. We're still here, I think. To end your live video now, you'll be able to choose if you want to save or delete. Okay, here we go. All right. Stay on this page. Okay. Lately, this thing's been
And
sticking.
there's another end button on there.
Where?
If you hit that again.
On the bottom right.
Yeah, hit that again. And then end.
And here we go. Yay.